piece. And so this was one of those times when I was like, okay, I don't understand everything they're talking about. I don't understand the methodologies that they're talking. Like there was just so many pieces that were kind of hanging out there for me. But what was interesting was I remember telling myself, and this is what I said to myself, you are not here to do their job. You are here to do your job. You don't need to be everything to everyone. And,
Right.
so it's that self-confidence, right? And welcome back to another episode of the Unbreakable Podcast. I am your host, Kait Dinunzio, and today we are joined by Grace the intern, Josie the producer, and there's a new face. Unbreakable continues to expand. I am delighted to introduce you to Megan. You guys have all heard of Megan because, Josie, we love Megan.
We do love Megan.
We love Megan.
And I love you, ladies.
And so we are at a point now with the Unbreakable movement where I need more help. And so I've gone out and I've asked Megan, who does some fractional support for me in my professional life, to jump in and become the chief of staff on a fractional perspective here at Unbreakable. So welcome, Meg.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. It is such an honor to get to work with you ladies and to be a part of the Unbreakable brand, which I'm super in love with and very passionate about.
Yes, it's fantastic. I mean, I truly, I mean, I can tell you, I get messages from Megan all the time doing our Debatables. So
I love the Debatables.
Love the Debatables.
I'm always answering along when watching the episodes. I'm screaming at the TV or my laptop, giving my answers.
Microwaved fish is a cardinal sin for Megan. She does not appreciate microwaved fish.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's a no-go for me.
No bueno. But you'll also notice that our little Grace is not talking very much today because she sounds like she swallowed a mouse.
Yeah.
Grace.
So she's here. It's gone, but her voice is gone. And so we're going to work around it, and we're still going to include her, and she's still going to be here. She's just going to be a beautiful fixture up on the screen and will contribute as she can. So let's go ahead and jump in and let's do some icebreakers, and let's talk about our debatable first. We have a lot to get to in this podcast because we've got some really new things, really exciting new things percolating. And of course, we have our listener questions. So shall we?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay. Now, how should everyone pronounce GIF? Is it a GIF or is it a GIF? Megan, are you in trouble? Because I feel like that was a huge thunderclap.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
I
Florida.
just got really excited.
It's 3 p.m. thunderstorms as per usual. So we're going to keep fingers crossed that internet keeps going. It is typical Florida.
Very typical Florida. Okay, so why don't you start us off? Is it GIF or GIF?
Oh, I feel like I'm going to age myself here. I'm going to go with GIF.
Yeah,
that's the right answer.
I think so too. I think GIF is a peanut butter.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And it doesn't make the G sound.
No.
Right.
It's a hard G. G. Okay.
Exactly.
This is a good one. Which would obviously be the better superior power to have? Invisibility or X-ray vision?
I say invisibility.
Me too.
I go with invisibility.
I don't know if I'd want X-ray vision.
I think my feelings would be hurt, though.
Well, that depends on who you're being invisible around.
Right.
I see things I wouldn't want to know.
Well, just don't go find out.
Exactly. You might be pleasantly surprised.
Exactly.
Good. Yeah.
None of us have actually thought about that. The zillennials and millennials are like, well, I just want to be invisible. You're like, well, that might hurt my feelings. Okay, Gen Z. I know you're a cusper, but you know, our
Yeah.
delicate little flower. Okay.
In the most
So
loving
here,
way.
in the most loving way, of course. Okay. So the better food-based weekday, Taco Tuesday or Waffle Wednesday?
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, I think I have to go with Taco Tuesday. I'm very close in the two, but I'll go with Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
I just
You
feel
can
like
put
Taco
anything on
Tuesday would
tacos.
totally, and I think that it would just be more gratifying. Like I have a big appetite. I mean, a waffle,
Yeah.
like when I go to like a restaurant, like a morning restaurant, it's like you can have a waffle with some shit on the side. Like, do you guys do that? Are you?
I need
Yeah.
real maple syrup. Like they don't
Oh.
have it, you know?
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is the superior device, the syrup delivery device. That was one that we had a conversation about on our team meeting last week, and it was waffles or pancakes. And in that case, 100% a waffle.
I mean, it just holds the
It
syrup
does,
in
for
the
the
tiny
syrup.
little pockets.
Yeah.
I'm partial to pancakes,
not
but
in
for
comp-
syrup, yes.
Yeah,
Waffles.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for waffles versus tacos, it's going to be a taco.
Yeah.
Tacos all the way.
Now,
Except
now the
minus the
question
lettuce
is,
right now.
oh yeah, well
Mm.
for you guys, I mean, we have a
Yeah.
Food and Drug Administration agency that cares about us here. So
I love that for you guys.
that was my inside voice. I'm
Welcome
so
to
sorry.
America.
We, however, are avoiding all vegetables currently.
I'm sure your
Probably
daughter is
safe
excited
bet.
about that.
No complaints in this household.
More room for the tendies. More room for the tendies. We went out for dinner, and her daughter
Absolutely.
ordered. She was like, "I'm going to have the tendies," and the server was like, "All right, and here's the tendies." And her daughter was like, "Am I an influencer?"
Oh yeah, it was all the carbs, the fries, the tendies, the cheese curds. I think we ordered.
Ugh.
It
Oh
was all
yeah.
of the good stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Okay,
Yeah.
here is this. This is one that I'm sure breaks marriages up. Putting away socks in matching pairs or one giant pile.
Mm-mm. You pile your socks up, you're getting out.
I don't know.
need matching
Grace's response was like, she was like,
You match them, but they seem to go, they disappear. It's hard.
Then
so you put
throw
them in
it
a
out.
pile.
Then you get new socks.
No, I would say I'm like half. I'm like trying to but they're so, where are they? As much as I can.
Oh, Josie, you just showed your boomer colors so loud there. If you lose one, just
Yeah.
throw it out.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have like a 2-week period. If you cannot find the match in 2 weeks, they go in the garbage. And then you just get more
Wow.
socks.
Okay,
Wow.
okay,
I can't.
but just
Probably
hold
a mess,
on.
like,
Okay, but hold on. So we had our flood, which I'm now reframing as a water event after I've seen actual floods coming out, and sending Jordan and Eric a ton of love in Dauphin right now. That town is recovering, like their hospital is closed for an indefinite amount of time. So,
Right.
so we had our water event, and Erin had these Nike socks that she just loved. And there was one sock that didn't have a twin. And honest, Josie, she kept it for like weeks, maybe even months. And we had our water event, and I pulled everything out from underneath the stairs, and one of the dogs had taken that sock and had run under the stairs with it. And we found it, and it was honestly the best day of her life. She was like, "Oh my God, my socks, look, I have both of them now." So she had to go put them both, even though one was clean, she had to put them both in the wash. But your rule, she would have had to throw out one of her favorite pairs of socks.
Okay.
I have
There
like
is
a
an
whole
exception to my rule. If it's like a sock that you do feel an emotional pull to, like for example, last year Brittany had one of her socks that her mom got her that are pink and they're hearts, and it was a whole thing. And I really wanted to throw them out because I could never find the pair. But I did hold off until we moved to our new place. And ironically, we did find it. But there has been many other socks that It's like a 2-week period. Are you attached to it? No? Okay, well, it goes in 2 weeks if we don't find the match, because it drives me crazy to go through the laundry and always be just this one sock. And then I'll put it away. And Brittany loves to mismatch her socks like a heathen. And it just ends up back in the wash and back to that single sock
A heathen.
with no emotional attachment. It just keeps coming and going and coming and going. And it drives me crazy.
And you know what, Grace, you were just saying that you have a pile of these odd socks just lying around. And I bet you when you're in a rush getting out the door,
You mismatch your socks.
But then it's like, I think I should just buy black socks, honestly.
Yeah, but if
Oh,
there's
God.
Then they
different
always
styles, you can't do that
oh, Erin is so much like that. Erin is like that. Like you can have all white socks, but every sock has its right pair. Like
Thank you, Erin.
It's true, yeah.
crazy.
I
Megan,
can't do
okay,
it
where do
either.
you stand on this? Megan, where do you stand on this?
Okay, so I had to give up the sock battle. I am I'm a matching sock girl. But having a preteen who could not be bothered when it comes to socks, I've just given it up. She likes to mix match her socks as well. And we continue to lose socks. And so I just take the singles and throw them in the drawer. And it's no longer my business what's happening in that drawer. She comes out with 2 socks on, and that's all that I can ask for. I've given it up.
It's a trend now, though, is the
Yeah.
mismatched
Apparently
socks.
it is. I kept trying to
is.
match them together, and they kept ending up separated and not being worn at the same time, both of them. And I just said, okay, we're just going to go with it.
We're
So
done. We're done.
we're done.
Yeah. You picked the hill.
One less thing for me
and
to
that's
worry
not
about.
the one you bingo.
It's not
See,
not the one I'm dying on.
and for me, I'm going to sound really terrible when I say this. I don't do laundry. So I have somebody who does that for me, because even if I did do it, I would probably do it wrong. So there are a couple of things that I don't touch that are Walton type things. One is loading the dishwasher, because I am apparently like a rabid raccoon and I can't do it right. I don't do the laundry, because you can't just take everything and throw it in one laundry drum and expect that it's going to get washed. You have to separate everything into 83 different piles, and I don't get it, but okay. And then the third one is I don't make the bed. Like if it's like pulling the blankets up and whatever, but like changing sheets, nope, I am completely inadequate and incapable of doing that either.
Well, I have realized I am the Erin of my household. Because dishwasher, laundry, changing the sheets.
Okay,
mine.
so Brett and I are we're pretty aligned there. We're pretty aligned.
Yeah. She comes to
that's
help
fabulous.
sometimes with the sheets. Because I mean, you
I
gotta
don't even
go
do that.
on opposite sides.
No.
But laundry, I'm like, here, let me get that. And
Yep,
dishwasher, let me just rearrange everything you just did in there.
Yep. I just stack all my
Yeah.
dishes by the side. One time my daughter was walking by and she's like, I don't know why you do this. Like the dishwasher is right there. And I'm like, oh, I'm aware. I'm like, but I don't want to spend like 8 minutes before bed waiting for this to get redone, because that's literally my life. And but that's her mother, and her sister's the same way. So I will wash dishes. I will clean floors. I will do whatever, but I'm just not very good at loading the dishwasher, because I was the dishwasher.
Yeah,
Not
fair
everyone
enough.
has our talent, Kate. It's okay.
It's okay. I'll just go out and make money, and everything else can be
exactly.
taken care of. Like this is life. This is life. Okay, well, wonderful. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the new things that we have on the go. So now that we have our wonderful, beautiful intern, we have our creative director and our producer, and we have this wonderful new chief of staff on the Unbreakable team. What we are doing is we're now moving down the path of actually starting to bring everything together and build some concepts that are going to be a little bit more engaging and kind of spreading the love. So one thing we get a lot of is requests. We have a lot of requests for people to join the podcast. And I would say, Josie, we probably get between 3 and 5 a week, maybe, if not more.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of them are a really great fit, but a lot of them are people who are just trying to sell shit to you guys. And I am not okay with that. We are not an infomercial. This is not the, what is it? The shopping network. We are not the shopping network. But what we are is we are willing to try new stuff and give our opinions and help people find the tools that work for them.
Mhm.
So it is our absolute pleasure today to introduce you to the Unbreakable Practice Lab. What we're doing with the Practice Lab is we are open to working with and supporting and trying out concepts and ideas of different products and methods that must be in alignment with what we are and what we stand for. That is a non-negotiable. So
Mhm.
this came about, and the reason it came about was because we met a wonderful gentleman, and he has an app. Now, we're not going to give you too much information about it, but we are going to share with you that we're starting to build out our first practice lab experience. And the practice lab is going to consist with the four of us, as well as a group of other people. Once that cohort is set, that's it. We're not adding more people, but we do invite you, our listeners and our viewers, to follow along and participate with us and share your thoughts as we start to go through the practice lab. Now, with that being said, we'll share much more information in the coming weeks, and you will get to see us working in practice with a new mindset approach on how we program our reticular activating system and how we continue to improve and move toward our goals. So, Josie, Grace, Meg, anything you want to add and share with our listeners about what it is that we're about to embark on?
I just think it's exciting in general. The owner of this app was very open to being able to align it with Unbreakable. So I'm excited to jump in. And I love data. So I'm excited to get the data. I know I'm a nerd, okay? It's fine.
Oh, we know. You are. But it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm thrilled. I'm so excited to try it. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Grace, with where you are in your profession and your career and taking your BAA and turning it into a business, I think what we're about to experience has the potential to really propel you forward and put those rails around you to help you meet those big goals that you have for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm so excited to like be able to do this. So cool.
And how about you, Meg?
Don't worry,
Any
I'll pump
thoughts
her
about?
voice up.
Yeah,
So
that's okay. And how about you, Meg? Any thoughts from your end of things? I mean, we've talked exhaustively about this.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to try this. I'm a huge fan of mindset and self improvement, and I'm into all of that. I read the books and the neuroscience, and this is one practice I haven't really done a lot of. So I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah. And what I'm really excited about though is that we're also going to include your daughter in this.
Yes, that is super
Yeah.
exciting. Mother
And what's
daughter
really
time.
it's mother-daughter time. I think it's gonna keep the practice alive for you on a day-to-day basis. But what's
Hmm.
really interesting is gonna be the data that comes out of it from a Gen Alpha, right? So, we look around the table here, we've got a couple millennials, a zillennial, and, we've got a cusper who's 1 foot in Gen Z and 1 foot in millennial. But to take someone who is in the formative period of her life, right? I mean, when you look at self-confidence, for example, self-confidence is formed between the age of 4 and 12. And so to add a 12-year-old into the mix here, I think is absolutely exceptional because what it does
Mhm.
is it invites her to not only participate in something broader than herself, but it also invites that development. And I think, Meg, it might even make your job as a mom a little bit easier.
Yeah, I will welcome that. That's something I spend a lot of time on with her as a mom. As I've gone through my journey and I've done a lot of the mindset work, I've tried to impart that wisdom onto her as she's going through this so lovely stage of preteen and entering the teenage era. So I'm excited to get it in front of her and see what it does for her as she goes through this stage.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And the other thing is, too, is that we've got a couple of other individuals that we're targeting to participate with us outside of the podcast. And then, in addition to that, one of the people that I'm trying to get involved with us is a boomer, a very late stage boomer, somebody in their late 70s. Because I think that what I would like to see is how does this practice not just support people who are in their day to day trying to strive and make goals, but also looking at our younger generations and saying, how do we stabilize the mindset and the mental health and create the space for that flourishing? But then to take it to somebody who's retired, who lives alone, who's widowed, who's experienced life, to be able to see if we can turn the dial for them in those golden years. Like, how beautiful is that?
Mhm. I think those are the two kind of age groups too, that it's not a mindset thing anymore. Like we focus on it when we're kind of our young adult years, and then all the way through there, and then retirement comes and it's kind of not a thing anymore. So seeing the before the young adult years and the after the adult years, I'm really excited to see both of those come through.
Totally.
Yeah, those opportunities. Yeah. So we're really looking forward to it. And we're really looking forward to sharing more as we start to launch our Baseline Zero. We don't want to announce it quite yet, but we will come out and we will be sharing some of those things for you to be able to jump in and join us as we go along. And the other thing is that this particular product, not only does it help you with your mindset, but there is a potential for financial compensation. Now, that's not why we're doing it. This is something that's a nice to have that's been built into the back end of the app by this very generous creator. It is not a multi-level marketing, and it is all about how do we reach as many people as possible to bring them the ability to hack their own thinking and the reticular activating system. So stay tuned for more on that. Okay, should we get to some questions, some listener questions? This will be Megan's first time getting to answer them real time with us as opposed to just providing those questions in the background. Oh, this is a really good one. Let's start with this one. I think this one is one that we can all jump into and we can all relate to. I feel pretty successful in my life, but when I'm sitting around a table of other individuals and professionals, I feel like a fraud. It's a little bit of the imposter syndrome there, I think.
Yeah, which is
that's tough.
something I still deal with, but it's getting better. But I think it's just knowing that you deserve to be in that space too. So
Goes back to
I've just
mindset.
done a lot of work with that. Yeah, exactly. Mindset's kind of everything in that one. And I mean, I grew up an artist. Grace, you will get to this later on in your artist career that you may have some major imposter syndrome, but once you start to see your art out there or your designs and even right down to, you know, some presentations, seeing that out there and having imposter syndrome while you sit next to, let's say, a Suncor employee or insert big company names there. I used to always think that I don't deserve to be here. I'm like, oh, yes, I have the education, I have the experience, I have the mindset, but I don't hold that title that the same people in this room do.
Yeah.
Then I started with Kait to go to all these networking things. And the first one, I was like, I'm just this, you know, poor kid from New Brunswick that's here making a living with my art and my directing, but to be in the same room with all these people that are, you know, running big companies or started from the bottom and very successful women, it changed my mindset to be like, no, I deserve to be here just as much. And the more I talk to them, I'm like, oh, they're real people too. So the imposter syndrome really took a dip after breaking out of my shell, I guess.
Yeah.
But just take the plunge a little bit. Don't let it hold you back. Easier said than done sometimes.
Okay, so Grace, I would love to hear your insights on imposter syndrome because, I mean, you've just come out, you've graduated, you're now moving out into the real world, you're meeting people. Like, there are some areas that you're super comfortable. Like, you love the hair industry, but that's not necessarily where you want to stay, but that's where you're comfortable.
Yeah. I guess with imposter, sorry, I think I fluctuate a little bit. You know, I think if you know that there's going to be a celebrity somewhere, right? You're going to overthink it. You're going to be like, this is, well, you know, but they're just a human. They're just human, you know? And so I feel like, if you overthink it and you try to, like, you compare yourself, then you're going to feel some kind of way. But I think that everybody has the potential to be anything. So, like, and who you hang out with. So if you're hanging out with, like, successful people and you work, maybe, I'm younger, right? But, like, so I don't have as much life experience and stuff like that. But there's nothing stopping me from, like, you know, building to where I want to be, where I don't feel that imposter syndrome, you know? That kind of thing. Yeah. But
yeah,
I know what you mean, though. I know what you
It's a
mean
great
though with
mindset.
like, yeah, you're already there though, I guess. I don't know. I think just living through the passion of what you're doing and like just enjoying the work, and then the title will come later. Like, don't even think of the title, you know? I hope that
Absolutely.
makes
Well,
sense.
and I think
Yeah.
that's so profound too, right? So like my dad used to say, like, you know, we all put our pants on one leg at a time. And I think like that's the most common thing, right? So, you know, Grace, to your point of, you know, being around influential people, like I have a number of stories where my dad was like, yeah, you know, when you meet this person, like I think the first time I ever went to Ottawa, he was like, when you meet the prime minister, please don't tell him that I think he's a dickhead for the long gun registry. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't do that, but hey, you know, it never hurts for the reminder, right? But so Megan, you pop in and out of small businesses, you work with entrepreneurs, you see these people who are kind of grappling through this. So I think you probably see it through two different lenses. Like you see it from the outside looking in, but perhaps you've also experienced it from the inside looking out. What are your experiences, and if there was any advice that you would give to this listener, what would that be?
Oh, so yeah, for me, I've definitely experienced it much more when I was younger, where I was
Mm,
walking into rooms with high level executives and even some celebrities and feeling like I didn't belong and what was I doing there. And I think
yeah.
as I've gone through my professional journey and aged just a little bit, and doing a lot of that mindset and inner work, I've just come to know and trust and believe in myself and my abilities and know that okay, I might not be on the level of the person sitting next to me, but I know what I bring to the table and I know what I can do and what I can offer. And for me, that's made all the difference. So I think it's just kind of going back and doing some of that mindset work and trusting in yourself and believing what you can offer and what you bring to the table.
I agree with that. I remember when I was sitting around this table, I was on a major ERP, like enterprise resource planning project. And I can remember sitting around and I was in there just to do change. And I say just to do change, but I was in there to do change. And it was a massive program and it wasn't going well. And I can remember sitting around with these technologists and these project managers, and they were just so like, on the ball and in the moment with everything that they were doing. And I was just at that point, I remember, I think I was probably in my very early to mid 30s. And I had started to make a bridge over from, you know, one area of business into a new area of business. And so this was one of those times when I was like, okay, I don't understand everything they're talking about. I don't understand the methodologies that they're talking. Like there was just so many pieces that were kind of, you know, kind of hanging out there for me. But what was interesting was I remember telling myself, and this is what I said to myself, you are not here to do their job. You are here to do your job. You don't need to be everything to everyone. And
Right.
you know, so it's that self-confidence, right? People are self-confident when they believe in their abilities, when they know what they should be doing, how they fit into the puzzle, like they have good relationships with peers and, you know, family members, arguably. And so I really had to take a step back. And I remember that day. I remember sitting in this boardroom and I was just like, I have no idea what these people are talking about. But then I think about it, and there was a reason I was in that room because none of them were a specialist in what I was there to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And also just remembering at the end of the day, we're all just humans. And we're
Yeah.
doing the best
Yeah.
we can. So I think
Yep.
when you bring that into it, it helps alleviate some of that.
Absolutely. And but I think this is where the comparison is the thief of joy. Social media and like the nonsense of LinkedIn has told us that if we're not celebrating something, if we're not delighted to announce or super excited about this or whatever, we're always in this state of competition with people, whether we acknowledge it or not. We have been conditioned to compete.
Yes.
And this type of a lack of confidence and this imposter syndrome is because you're comparing yourself to somebody else or
Mhm.
something else, right? And I think, Josie, this is really what you were talking about, like what you were touching on, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we say it on this podcast all the time: comparison is the thief of joy.
Yep.
Yes.
And you know,
I
you
don't need
think
to
about it as
compare
artists.
anymore.
No, and you know, I mean, as artists, you don't want to be compared. You want to be a standout. You want to be a standalone.
Mhm.
You want people to remember you. And that's not because you blend in, it's because you stand out.
Exactly. Be the black
Right.
sheep.
Be the
Yeah.
black sheep. I think, did I bleat
Mhm.
on a meeting on a podcast for you guys in the past? I think that was the last one.
Second last. Oh no, it was the one with Grace. Uh, it was too funny.
Yeah, that was, yeah. If you guys
See, now
haven't,
you
if
get to
you
see all the behind the scenes, Meg.
Yeah, I love it.
did that not make it into the
This is
podcast?
awesome.
Did
Yeah,
my
that
goat
one's in the
noise? Oh, that
podcast.
one. Yeah, okay, because it was very impressive.
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's move to another question here. Let's see here. Oh, this one's a good one. I like this one. Megan, you and I have had a conversation about this. Josie, I think you and I have as well. Grace, you're probably the only one I haven't had a discussion about this. This one comes from somebody who messaged me directly, and it is about parental relationships. This one hits hard. I've spent my whole life hoping that one day my mom will become the mother I needed, very much like you. How do I let go of that?
Mm,
That's
it's a tough
heavy.
one for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when it hits.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes. As
well,
I've been
once
told, we focus a lot on the dad relationships and the dad issues, but it's that mother-child relationship that is
yeah,
so critical, because if there's one person in this world that's never supposed to give up on you or turn their back on you, it's the person that brought you into this world. And
Mhm.
absolutely.
so it is, yeah, that is a really hard one when you have to figure out how to love your mother for what she's done and who she is, but
Yeah,
also understand that, like, you have to disconnect sometimes and you can't,
absolutely.
yeah, you can't allow certain things to affect you. It's, oh God, it's so hard.
Yeah. Well, and I think like from my perspective, like what I reflected a lot about this in Unbreakable. Like there's actually a whole section called the grief of growth. And actually, I don't even think that that's in that chapter, but I did a whole bunch of reflection. And this one was one of those, like, I actually had the realization while I was writing the book. Like it wasn't scripted. It came as I was digesting this story that I was building and that I was writing. And it came down to the fact that it's a grief process, right? Like you have to acknowledge when someone's not going to change to meet you where you are. And I think that that's a very hard reality when all you've ever
Mhm.
wanted was that perfect parent. And again, this comes back to comparison. We only know that other people's moms baked cookies because people talked about the fact that other people's moms baked cookies, right?
Right.
And mine was more interested in drinking alcohol and truck driving and living the life that she wanted to than parenting. And I had made up a version of what it was that I thought I deserved, what I wanted. And in fact, the grief process for me and the letting go process for me came from the fact that I had to acknowledge she was not capable of being that person. I wasn't capable of articulating that. And the other thing is, you can't get time back, right? So
No.
all of that water
Right.
that's under the bridge, you just have to be able to let it go and be a part of the story. But I think
Right.
that when it comes to letting go, it's actually entering into a grief process to say the person that I had materialized between my ears doesn't exist.
It's kind of
Right.
an acceptance thing as well, is knowing that that person is that person for reasons you can't control. And,
Yeah.
you know, in my
Mm,
case, it's been almost 2 years of fighting with my own logic brain, being like, well, yes, I can understand. I had a young mother. She had me at 17. I had to accept that she was the best parent she could be to me from that time. But I also had to accept that it's okay for her to walk away from her daughter. So that one was a really hard one to accept.
hmm
And there is days that I'm still not quite accepting of it because I feel like if I
Yeah.
was in that position, but it's easier to say I wouldn't do that
Yeah.
than to know what circumstances are going on in her head. So the acceptance, I think, is a huge part that people don't really think about as much. It's, yes, we are going to grieve. And
Mhm.
I'm totally on board with what Kait is saying for that. You need to grieve. You need to go through those processes, but you also need to learn acceptance on both ends. You kind of need to
Mhm.
accept that this is the way it is. And I hate when people say that sometimes. It's just the way it is.
It is what it
But when it
is.
comes to those kind of things, honestly, that's the bottom line. It is the way it is. We can't change them. They can't change us. And if you can't meet in the middle, that's where your grieving process is going to have to start,
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
letting go of, those idealizations that you had of what your parents should be or what you need, or, your mother's supposed to be this mother that, like or Kait just said, that bakes cookies or, reaches out. And if you don't hear from them in X amount of weeks,
Mhm.
sometimes you just got to accept that, grieve it, go through all those processes. It's not just sadness, it's not just anger. There's a whole lot
There's a whole
in there.
curve. Yep.
Exactly. And you're going to have highs and you're going to have really, really low lows, especially when it's a mother. Like Meg said, most people look at the dad part of it, but it's the mother part. I think that a lot of people are like, well, if you do get treated badly by a mother, you still have to love her. She brought you into this world. You still have to deal with that. You can still break boundaries that you have put in place because she's your mother. Just
Mhm.
say sorry, move on. You will get to a point where it's no
It's
longer
just you're not going to do that.
my thing to do anymore. It's not my war to go to war with. It's they can deal with themselves. And if we happen to meet up in the middle someday, 5, 10 years down the road, sure. But don't bring yourself down just because of that line I hate, but they're your mother.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, and
It's
I
still
think
another
that
person.
absolutely. And I think two things that you've touched on there. Number one is empathy, thinking about where somebody has gone and whether or not they've gone through the healing journey. And that's provided that they are mentally capable and have all their faculties about them. The second thing that I
Mhm.
would actually suggest is that a lot of people are expecting others to change without articulating what it is that they need. Right. And so this
Yeah.
Mm.
question, hoping my mom will one day become the mother I needed. What does that mean? Did you talk to your mother about this? Have you tried going to family
Right.
counseling? Have you had a hard conversation? Have you walked toward the roar with that? Because if you haven't even articulated that your needs aren't being met, like people are not psychics. Like they're not, well,
No.
I mean, I did become a paid psychic once, but that's we'll save that story for another day. But um, you know, people only know what it is that you tell them. And if you don't take the time to actually say, this is what I need from you, or you didn't show up for me at this point and this point. And listen, I think the other thing is too, is like how we feel and how we felt through childhood certainly impacts and influences how we go through life. That is Freud at his very core, right? I write
Mhm.
at length about Freud. Freudism is I am how I am because of what I've experienced in life. And that's not wrong, but it's a very limited mindset. It's a fixed mindset because when we look at
Mm.
Adler suggests that I'm going to choose how I use that. And so if you were to shift from being in that Freudism and move it over into that Adlerism in terms of how you want to invigorate or revitalize or build that relationship with a parent, it is incumbent and responsible on it is your responsibility to be able to articulate what these things did or did not do for you, to be able to say, I want to have a very healthy relationship with you going forward, if that's possible. Right. Now, listen,
Mhm.
not everybody's open to doing that, and that's a choice. But if you want that relationship with your mother and you haven't had that conversation, I think that's where you start first.
Yeah. People don't know what they
Absolutely.
don't know.
No, that's right.
Right.
So Grace, I would love your opinion on this one because I think that, we look at it from our lens quite robustly, but what are your thoughts in terms of a parent who maybe didn't show up the way that somebody needed them?
Yeah, I agree with the whole, like, just letting go of what you thought, the picture in your mind, like, the way your mom should be,
Mhm.
and just meeting her where she's at. But I think communicating too, like, the communication and, like, I guess, as a daughter, right, is I different to give advice. She'd want more like try to, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
a different role. But I think, yeah, communicating and then just like accepting for what is. And then people will want to, like, people have to choose to want to heal like different traumas and things like that. So you can't
Mhm.
force it, but like accept it for what it is and do your best, you know? Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Meg, before we move away from this question, any other final thoughts that you want to share there?
Yeah, I think one thing that I don't think gets talked a lot about is that grieving someone who's still around is a very different process than grieving someone who's not.
Mhm.
I know for me, I've had to go through that process, and there's always that little bit of hope. There's that little kid
Mhm.
inside of you that
Yeah.
wants that person, that still hopes that they will show up the way you want them to. But it
Yeah.
all kind of goes back to, you have to try to step outside of yourself and see them
Mhm.
for the circumstances that they had in their life and where they were at. And then also, I'm a big fan of, like you were just talking about, Freud versus Adler, of choosing, is that something I want to have in my life? And am I going to allow that to impact me? Am I going to sit in that and stay the same way? Or am I going to break that cycle and am I going to do better and be better? Because I know the younger version of me looked at things very differently versus when I became a mother. And then I revisited a lot of things and had to kind of go through the process again where I was like, wait a minute, I would never do this to my child. How could you do this to me? But then I had to sit back and say, okay, this was the life that they lived. This is their experience. I have to try and now accept that, but I don't have to allow that into my space in my life. And I'm not going to do the same thing to my child.
Yeah.
And so working to break that, and as I always try and talk to my daughter about, is do better, be better.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Break that
yeah.
cycle. Break
Mhm.
that cycle. I love it. Here's one. I feel like I'm always in conflict. Is it possible that I'm the problem?
I'm just gonna insert that face I just made.
It's possible.
If you're
It's
asking,
pretty possible. Yeah, then it's probably pretty possible.
It's
if
maybe
you're
time to look in the mirror and have a little chit chat with yourself. I've dealt with this in my personal life where I've had people in my life that were constantly in conflict with people around them, and they would sit back and say, how could all of these people be this way towards me, or whatever the case may be? And I had to sit back and go, maybe it's time to do a little self-reflection.
Mhm.
It's you.
I
You're the
mean, they have made the
problem.
first step where
Yeah,
they're
because
like
there's a habit.
questioning.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
habit.
am I?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
Points
it's
for
just
that.
the look in the mirror. And
Yep.
Right.
I mean, if there's 10 people that you're in conflict all the time, but those people aren't in conflict with other people ever or very rarely,
Yeah.
What's the common
safe to
denominator?
say. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I always say. What's the common denominator in this situation?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and Grace, you were saying even the habit, like you see the constant habit of, maybe that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I look at this and it's like, I mean, if you're asking, the answer is yes. The answer is yes, you are the problem. And I don't say that with any disrespect. It's just that if, like Megan said, if everybody around you is always in constant conflict, and Josie, as you said, but nobody else is really in conflict, then yeah, you are the problem. And I wrote about a friend who I had in Unbreakable, and a beautiful, lovely, amazing human being, just fantastic, but was very difficult to get along with, had these crazy expectations of people, and would come out of left field with a text message. You're not talking to me enough. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And it was like, yeah, I mean, go fuck your hat. Like, I'm actually running a business, raising a family, so on and so forth. Like, I mean, we all have different things going on in our lives. And if you haven't put a ring on it and you're not paying my mortgage, the chances of me prioritizing you over my family and my career are pretty slim. But that being said, I wasn't always like that. And so a lot of these problem people, I think I refer to them as energy vampires in the book.
Mhm.
They're the people who will come and they will eat your lunch every single day. They will text you with small talk and gossip and nastiness until the cows come home. So here's my advice. The one book that changed my life is The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements is one of the best books you will ever read. It's 176 very easy pages. It's a little metaphysical. It kind of talks about the, off-earth experience. But the man speaks about domestication and how we are put into these little tiny boxes, and we are told as 6-year-olds, you are no longer allowed to be feral little animals. You must sit in this little desk and you must do this math and you must learn these things, and that's that. But before we were domesticated, we were very much, just these little feral beings that got to be together and play together and spend time together, right? 4 agreements.
Mhm.
Number 1 is be impeccable with your word to yourself and to other people. Remember, our reticular activating system is always listening. Number 2, you are the problem if you are being nasty and snarky about people, even behind their backs. Gossip is a killer. So number 1 is be impeccable with your word to yourself and other people. Number 2 is don't take anything personally, the good and the bad, right? So you don't want to take anything personal. I have a saying that I say to myself all the time, and it is, if I give them the power to feed me, then I give them the power to starve me. And that actually links back into validation is for parking. I don't need your validation. I love myself when I wake up in the morning. Number 3 is don't make assumptions. And we all know why, because an assumption makes an ass out of you and me. We can't
Oh,
assume
damn, you
anything.
took it out of my mouth.
In the absence of fact, perception is reality. My reality is everything that I believe until you show me otherwise. So if I feel like I have a perception and you and I might not be on a different wavelength, it's my responsibility to ask you what you think and what's actually going on. And then the 4th one is do your best. Your best is going to look different day to
Always
day.
do your best.
Always do your best. Always do your best. Your best is going to look different day to day because we are human beings and we have a human experience, right? So if you think you're the problem, go pick up a copy of The Four Agreements, listen to it or read it. I listen to it every year, and just refresh yourself on really how to be kind to yourself and to other people, how to make sure that you're not taking things personal, how to make sure that you're not making assumptions about other people, and that you're getting up every single day and you're doing your best. These are great, great things to live your life by. And I trust me when I tell you, this book will change your life.
Yeah,
For sure.
I
So-
read it multiple times a year now.
So you've read it, Josie. What about you, Meg? Have you read The Four Agreements?
Yes, I read it several years ago when I started my journey and
Mhm.
trying to fix my mindset and get to a better, more positive mental space. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely true. And I think for me, I try to go to bed every night and lay my head on the pillow knowing that I did my best. And like you said, every day it's not going to be the same. And there are days that I lay down and I say, oh, I could have done this differently or I could have done this better.
Yeah.
But did I at least show up and try? And was I honest and was I authentic and genuine with my intentions? And that's my goal every day.
I love it.
That's good
Grace, have you ever
goals.
heard of The Four Agreements?
I want to read it, but yeah, no, I haven't yet.
We're going to put it on your reading list. Grace is going to have a
I'll
stack
lend you my
like this.
copy.
Yeah. Perfect.
I know. I'm not the fastest reader, but I'll get there.
Okay. I know I said the last one was the last one, but let's do one more. Let's just see here. This is a good one, and I'd love to just kind of
I
put it
found
out
it.
there. This one came through my DMs on Instagram, and it is about relationships. I feel like the relationships. Oh, look at that!
Got it.
You found it.
Yeah, I knew
I
it
feel
was
like the
under there somewhere.
I feel like the
Sorry.
relationships I have are okay, but I don't think I know what love actually looks like. What does love look like to you?
Messy.
Caring about the person apart from all the exterior, all the things, like just
Yeah.
for their soul, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think love is also, well, I think there's 3 kinds of love, but it's also a choice. So you can feel the love, but you won't always feel it. So you got to choose as well, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a very
Yeah.
interesting perspective.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like, long marriages, right? Like you're going to go through dull moments, but you got to like choose it, Yeah.
I love
I
that.
think that's why I said messy. Not messy in a bad way, but there's a lot of high highs, a lot of low lows. We've talked about it in a previous podcast where I think one of the questions was about the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
And if you ever get that back, does that mean your love's dead after the so-called honeymoon phase? I don't think so.
I agree.
Granted, your first couple months of a relationship, sure, they're going to be super exciting, but I also look forward to the days where not conflict, but there's some communication errors and we get to sit down and dig into each other in a healthy way where you understand the other person. At the end of the day, then I end up loving Brittany more because now I understood where all these things come from. But if you're always expecting your relationship to be up here, I don't think that's what love is at all. You need to accept the bad days and the
I agree.
not so honeymoonish days.
Yeah.
But then you
showing
can
up for the
accept
best and the
you know,
worst.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a marriage line for a reason. So I think love is literally accepting this and everything in between there.
I agree.
And the New Brunswick in me had to use my hands.
The hands, right? But I think this kind of also touches into a couple of things. And Grace, you have said it, and Megan, this resonated with you when you were merely just an observer to the movement. But it was the fact that people are like playing cards, I think, is how you'd put it once on a previous podcast, Grace, where that lack of authenticity is there. And so it's like when I think about like what love actually is, I think people are really good at pretending to put a hook into you. And I think that love is when you can actually have hard conversations, when you can go through the shit and come out the other side. It's when you can challenge each other. It's when you can make mistakes and that person still comes back to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we're not perfect beings. We're beings. And
Yeah.
the journey of life is actually the destination. There's no end game to this. The end game is a tombstone. So it's like being able to find your person or your people or whatever. I think it comes down to, like you said, that radical acceptance, Josie, but it also comes down to how you are treating other people. And how you will accept somebody treating you, frankly.
Yeah.
You got to love yourself too.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. Something so beautiful about being able to show up and just be yourself with someone and have that safety to just let all the weirdness out, all the greatness out, all of everything, and know that that person's going to be there and love you regardless. And even on the hard days, to have someone show up and say, okay, we're not really connecting. I see we're having this issue. Let's talk about it. Like for me, that's chef's kiss. And I don't see enough of that these days.
No. Everyone, as soon as there's conflict, it's swipe to the next one.
Yeah. It's the next shiny thing.
Yeah.
Unless you mismatch your socks. Then we'll have a hard conversation about it. Brittany's going to listen to this and do it.
That's where Josie draws the line. Brittany, that's it.
Please just match your socks.
No mix matching the socks.
Brittany, I'm not judging you.
Take the advice. I'll have to just every 2 weeks throw them away.
I know. I'm going to need you to come here because I have a whole bin of socks that are singles that I've just thrown in there and forgotten about them. So you have to come and just get rid of them.
Teenagers I can deal with. It's when it's the adult years. I'm like, okay.
Because in my mind, inevitably, we're going to find that sock. Like it's behind the dryer or it's wrapped up in a shirt somewhere. Like it's going to pop up. So if I throw the sock out, then I'm like, oh man, see? I found it.
You could just get new socks.
There is that.
I'm gonna
Do you
go
keep
start
holy
buying.
socks too?
No.
I draw the line and holes in the socks.
Okay.
Immediate in the trash.
I'm happy on that one.
Yep. No. And if they get scummy on the bottom, like Grace, you're like, everybody should just get black socks. When we were kids, we had a song about black socks. I have not worn black socks since I was a kid. Because it's just the no. So it's okay, I'm going to sing it, but you guys can't like, okay, so it's black socks. They never get dirty. The longer you wear them, the stronger they get. Sometimes I think I should wash them, but something keeps telling me, oh no, not yet, not yet, not yet. So I haven't worn a black sock since I was like 10.
Huh.
That's true though, eh? It is true.
You would
I never
never
heard
know.
that.
You would never know. I'm
Yeah.
a white sock girl 100% of the time. I won't even wear, the only time I wear a colored sock is when I'm out on a field site and I have these really, really nice, we have these really nice Nike socks and they're purple and I don't get blisters when I wear my work boots with them. So
Nice. See, and
they
I
serve
grew
a
up in a
purpose.
house where it was all white undergarments, so they could be bleached clean. So I avoid white now. Like, bring on the black socks. Because
I like the
Wild.
in-betweens.
Like, really?
I think I have 2 pairs of black socks, but the most are like the gray Puma socks or,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Who
I
doesn't
have a
own
brand I
the
like,
gray Puma
okay.
socks? Yeah, I know. We have the Puma socks
You're a
too.
brand aware.
Yeah,
It's-
look at Josie.
I'm a little brand aware,
Are you an
okay.
influencer? Are you an influencer,
You're
Josie?
oh no.
No? Anybody see these journals here?
You're not tapping it enough. You're not. No, we don't do this anymore. Like it's tap 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 tap. Yeah, you have to tap.
Wait, can you even
Yeah,
hear
you gotta
that?
get some
There.
nails.
Yeah.
We
I don't
gotta
have
get
nails.
we're getting you some stick-ons. That's it. So that Josie can do like the ads. Grace, that'll be your job.
Yeah.
We're gonna have you do the really obnoxious fake out.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
yeah.
all right. Well, this is eroding very quickly. So, I would
The
just like
episode
to
about
say
socks.
the episode, it literally was, it was dominated by socks. I can't wait for the
It
feedback
was.
from this one. I'm sure we have a couple of very avid listeners who will provide their feedback to us and share their input. Listeners, we always want to hear from you. Keep these questions coming. We really enjoy the opportunity to be a part of your journey. Stay tuned to learn more about the Unbreakable Practice Lab. We're going to be coming out probably with a short or a midterm podcast to announce where we're going, what we're doing, and how you can get involved and how you can join us in this new practice lab concept. And just want to say once again, thanks to Grace for jumping on. And Megan, we are so happy. Josie's going to have to block that out.
It's just Mickey Mouse. It's fine. Minnie Mouse.
It's our little, we need subtitles for Grace. And Megan, welcome to the Shit Show. We are so delighted to have you here with us. We are really excited about the horsepower that's going to come out of this team. And remember, listeners, viewers, protect your peace, chase your dreams, and stay unbreakable.